Hey guys, I'm back with another video on basics of paper cutting. Today's video is all about how do you effectively handle the paper craft knife, which is also the most important tool in paper cutting. But before we dive into today's video, I hope you all have watched my previous video on the basic materials needed for paper cutting. In case you have not, I have added the link in the description box so that you can watch it later. For this video tutorial, we are going to use this beautiful knife from Whiskers as an example. I have purchased this knife from a local craft store for 800 bucks. This knife comes with a very solid rubber grip, as you can see that orange rubber grip at the bottom of the knife. And the knife also has a metal grip at the top. So it is very comfortable to hold this knife and it does not hurt the fingers at all. Irrespective of what paper cutting knife you are using, the blade will have two important parts to it. One is the sharp edge of the blade and another is the pointed tip of the blade. For paper cutting, we only use the tip of the blade and we do not use the sharp edge of the blade. To change a used blade, gently unscrew the top portion of the blade, which will loosen the blade in the slot. Once the blade is loose, you can gently pull it out from the knife. Each knife comes with a spare set of blades. Take one of the blades from the packet of the spare blades. You will see that all the spare blades have a thin film of oil coating over them. This is to prevent it from getting rusty. You should be extremely careful when you are handling a fresh blade because the fresh blades are extremely sharp. The edges are very sharp and the tips are extremely pointy. So you can hurt yourself if you are not careful with a fresh blade. Also, if I compare my fresh blade with the blade that I have just taken out, you will see that the fresh blade seems and looks a little more pointed at the tip than the previous blade. And since tips is the most important part in a paper cutting knife, you need to change your blade if you feel that the tip has gone a little blunt. To fit a new blade into the knife, push the fresh blade into the open slot at the top of the knife and then screw back the top portion of the knife so that the blade properly sits inside the knife and does not move around while you are doing the paper cutting. As you can see, the fresh blades are extremely sharp and they can pierce the skin without any effort. So please be very careful when you are using the fresh blade because it does not require much effort to cut with a fresh blade. Just to demonstrate it, you can see that I am able to make a hole into the paper without any effort or applying without any pressure. I am actually not applying too much pressure here and you can see that it is easily able to pierce the paper. And this is a A4 size printing paper which has got a 70 GSM thickness. So yes, it does require a certain pressure, but fresh blades are able to do it without any pressure. There is a certain way in which you should hold the blade of any paper cutting knife. You should not tilt the blade either to the left hand side or to the right hand side. Essentially, when you're holding the blade, it should be at a 45-degree angle approximately. And you should not be able to see any face of the blade, either the left hand side or the right hand side. You should only see the top edge of the blade. Ensure that you are not holding the blade very perpendicular to the cutting mat also, because if you are holding the blade very perpendicular to the cutting mat, you will not be able to properly cut and you might damage your blades very quickly. The tip of the blade will break off very quickly if you are holding the knife very perpendicular to the paper. One of the basic thumb rules of using any paper cutting knife is that you should not need to apply too much pressure. When you are cutting the paper with a paper cutting knife, you should apply very little pressure and the knife should just skim the mat. It should not embed itself into the mat or it should cause a deep cut into the mat. I am drawing few lines here just to demonstrate you what happens when you tilt your knife either left hand side or the right hand side. If you want to cut properly on the line, you just need to keep your knife at a 45-degree angle and pull the knife towards yourself. I will show it again on the second line also. But if your knife is tilted either towards the right hand side or the left hand side, you will see that the line on which you are cutting, you will stray from it and you will either go towards the left hand side or towards the right hand side. Hence it is important that you keep your knife straight and not tilted either towards the left hand side or towards the right hand side. This will allow you to cut on the line whether the line is straight or whether the line is curved. Also, you have to note that when you are cutting the paper with the cutting knife, you always pull the knife towards your body. You do not pull the knife away from your body or you do not cut parallel to your body. The chances of you breaking the blade are extremely high if you are not pulling the knife towards your body. Applying too much pressure with the blade is never a good option because one of the effect is that it will break the blade, but also when you're applying too much pressure, the paper that you're cutting will get ragged edges. As you can see on the screen that since I'm applying too much pressure, the edges of the cut paper are not smooth. One of the important things to remember, especially if you are a beginner in paper cutting, is that when you are cutting any curved surface, keep your knife steady but keep on rotating the paper. As you can see on the screen, my knife is almost at the same place, but I am rotating my paper so that I am able to cut a curved space. I have drawn a few waves to show you how to handle knife when you are cutting a wave. As you can see that not only just my knife is moving, but my entire hand is moving. In this case, I am not moving the paper. So if you are not moving the paper, you cannot just keep on moving the blade. You have to move your entire hand along with the blade so that the blade always remains perpendicular to the mat and it also cuts in a curved fashion. I'm going to draw a rough circle to show you how to handle your knife when you are cutting a circle. While it is easy to cut a wave without moving the paper much and just by moving your knife along with your hand, when you are cutting the circle, it's not so easy because for circles you really need to tilt your knife. So when you are cutting a circle, it's always best that you rotate the paper and do not tilt your knife because it might break your blade. As you can see, I have kept my knife almost steady at a single position and I'm rotating the paper while I'm allowing the sharpness of the knife to do the work for me. Again, just to show you the difference, I can cut the waves without really moving the paper and just by moving my hand and the knife together. Whether it is a big wave or it is a short wave, you can do both in a similar fashion. While it is really easy to cut a thin paper, thick paper are altogether different ball game. Here I have in my hand a 300 GSM paper, so as you can see that it is almost 5-6 times the thickness of a normal A4 size paper. To cut a thick paper, the best technique is that while you are starting the paper cutting, you just push the knife a little bit so that it touches the mat and then you cut towards yourself. This will ensure that once you are done cutting the piece, there are no undercuts and the piece comes out properly. I will just demonstrate it once again to show how it is done, and then I am going to do it without actually pushing at the start. As you can see, this time I have not pushed the blade before the starting and the paper has not come out properly. It is still stuck to the base of the paper. And finally, for yours and everybody else's protection, always cover your knife with the knife cap once you are done so that you or someone else does not accidentally hurt yourself by coming in contact with the blade of the knife. So that's it for today's video and I will see you guys in my next video very soon. Take care, bye bye.